So how I want you guys to set up your document for this particular assignment is I want you to open up a new document. So you're going to go to File, New, or if this pops up, you're going to create a 3" by 3" square. Okay. CMYK color, all of these defaults is fine, but one artboard 3" by 3", and you're going to click Create. Okay. That's going to open up your box like this. If you don't have your grids on, you can turn those on by Control R, just preference. So what we're going to do is you're going to create your own pattern. Now, the video with the cactus, that lady is amazing. She shows you some great techniques. So you're going to end up creating a pattern that you will want to repeat over and over again within this 3" by 3" square. Now, like I said, she shows you in that other video some really cool techniques. I highly recommend watching that when you're creating. Now, when you're creating your pattern does need to be very creative. It should have a colored background, so your square should not be white. It should be a color. And you should have some kind of design or pattern or something that's really creative. I'm going to just show you with dots, like circles, because I'm just doing this quickly and it's for an example, but I expect your guys' to be very creative. So, like I said, take a look at the video below mine on the cactuses in the Canvas page. So, on this assignment, when you go into Canvas, please watch that video of that lady making the cactus pattern because hers is phenomenal. So, you'll come up with whatever pattern you want as long as it's appropriate, but it can be just about anything. Like she did cactuses, you can do like puppies or superheroes or whatever you want, but you have to create the vector graphics for it. And then it will be repeating, but make sure you guys have an appropriate colored background so you can see everything. So I'm going to demonstrate this assignment with just some circles. So mine is going to be very boring. This would not get you a good grade. Okay, so please keep that in mind. So I'm going to just color my circles real quick. I'm not going to have any outlines. You really want to avoid having outlines or strokes with this assignment because it makes it way more complicated. And yes, you can still technically have them, but you don't want them, you don't want the stroke where it's over each edge. You would want it to be on the inside. So basically, if you're going to have a stroke, let's say you want, I'm going to show you a larger size so you can see it. So if you're going to do an outline or a stroke on a shape, you can do it. But see how the blue circle, that is the edge of this shape and the stroke goes on the outside. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring up your stroke window, which you can open that up by going to Windows and going down to Stroke. And you're going to want to make sure your stroke is on the inside. Okay, so if you're going to do a stroke, it has to be on the inside like that. Okay, so we'll leave that one like that so you guys can see it. If you're not going to put it on the inside, then you just pretty much need not to have a stroke because it's going to cause you problems if you guys have a stroke on the inside. Okay, so I have my somewhat boring shapes. Now you're going to want to pick either the top or the bottom or the left or the right to have shapes go over. So I'm going to have, let me make this smaller. I'm going to have mine kind of go over the top and the left side. So I'm going to have this one kind of here. Change the color on this one because it's not very balanced. So like I said, mine is super lame and I expect your guys' to be much better than this. So in the video of the cactus, she shows you how to mirror these. So I'm going to show you a quick technique for what she did. And this is the best way to do it because if you try and copy and paste you're going to have to make sure that this is perfectly lined up. And I'm going to show you an example of what happens when these aren't lined up. So normally when we create our patterns, we have to cut them. Like we have to divide where it crosses over the outside border. And if they're not lined up, what's going to happen? I'm going to show you real quick. Oops. There we go. It starts to overlap, okay? So this is just going to be my sample. So what you want to do is you want to click on your circle or your shape, your guys' shape that's creative and fun. And you're going to right click and you're going to go to transform and you're going to go to move. Then if you have a 3" by 3", we're going to move it down 3 inches vertically. Okay, so this is your original location. Make sure preview is on. If preview is not on, click preview. This is your original location. This is where it would move it to. But we don't want to just move it. We want to copy it. So I'm going to click copy. So now I have 2. And I want to do the same thing to the green. Right click, transform, move. But I'm going to do it 3 inches horizontal, 0 inches vertically, and click copy. And it moves it over. So now that I have that done, we need to actually cut these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I want to create a 3" by 3" rectangle. It does not need to have any fill on it. So this is just a simple blank rectangle. I'm going to align it to my artboard and I'm going to center it. So both. So now my rectangle is there. I'm going to hold down Control. Oops. Select that. Hold down Shift. And I'm going to select my 4 outside areas. I am going to need my Pathfinder tools right here. These guys, you want your Pathfinder tools. And I'm going to use the divide tool. And that's actually going to cut along that line. Now you'll notice it's all still connected. I'm going to ungroup. Now when you ungroup, you want to get rid of that outline too. And now I'm going to get rid of everything that went over. Okay, so then, and I will show you what this looks like now. Oh my gosh. You can see that we have this nice clean repeating and it's over and over. But we need to make sure we have a colored background. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool again. I'm going to create a 3" by 3" rectangle and I'm going to fill it with a color. I'm going to make sure this is aligned to artboard. And I'm going to arrange and send it to the back. So now I have this repeating pattern and you can see even the background is not broken. Every once in a while you'll see a small little line like this. That is just because of your computer screen, okay? I can make this as big as I want and refill it and it will repeat. Now, one thing that you might want to consider when you're creating your pattern, if you select this whole area, we go up here to our window and we open up our pattern options panel, okay? If you click on these little dots, you can click make pattern, okay? And it says the new pattern has been added to the swatches panel. It's right here. So if I, like, let's say I delete all these guys to show you. Yes. So I select this pattern. I go up here to pattern options, go here. Mine says auto close when exiting. I'm going to unselect that because it's nice for it to stay there. So I'm going to click make pattern. Yes, as you can see, it added it right here. Now what this does is it shows you your original pattern, but then it also shows you like a sample. So you can name your pattern. So I'm going to name it dots. And this is where you can kind of have some fun with it. You can do a grid. You can do brick. Now, obviously, this pattern does not look good. Brick by column, hexagon, hexagon by row. Now, obviously, my patterns are not a hexagon, so that doesn't really work. The grid works best for mine. You can do like 1 by 1 just shows the original. 9 by 9 shows a bigger sample, so you kind of want like a small sample. And then the dim copies, this just makes it like how transparent you want it to look. Okay. Show tiled edge, show swatch boundaries. So you can kind of play around with these different settings. And then when you're done, you click done and it saves those settings to your swatches. So then you have your swatches right there. Now let's say I want it to, oops, I need to make sure I select this. Let's say I want it to make it a brick pattern so you guys can see brick by row. I'm going to name it dots 2 and then click done. Now I have a new pattern here and you can see that it does the brick. So I have my original one, which is the grid, and then my brick one. So you can use these pattern options to help you guys set up your swatches and save it into your swatch panel. For if you're doing a 3" by 3" and you're just doing it where it repeats, the grid is going to be the best option for you, but it really depends on how you're doing your pattern. So I want you guys to create your pattern. So how you're going to turn this document is you're going to have your 3" by 3" square, your artboard with your pattern in there. And then you are going to have a sample rectangle. So this is just a rectangle. You're going to have a sample rectangle with your pattern repeating. So your swatch should be saved over here and you should have it repeating. So the pattern option automatically creates a swatch and saves it in here, which is nice. And then what I will do is I will open up your Illustrator file. I will be able to see your pattern and then I will be able to see that you've tested it. I should be able to draw a rectangular shape of my own and use your pattern. If you did multiple patterns because you were testing it out and something was wrong, I would delete all your unused patterns and only keep the one that actually worked. So this one, like this one didn't work. So I'm going to select that swatch and I'm going to click delete. And yes, so I want to basically have the one swatch that I'm using. Now, if you don't do that, I should be able to figure out which swatch is yours and which one works. Okay. And I should be able to create my own swatch too. So what I want for you guys when you turn it in is your 3" by 3" artboard with your pattern built in there. And then you should have a swatch over here of your pattern and a test sample of yours. And then I will look at it because I want to make sure that it doesn't cut off weird like this, because this is the brick one. It should be nice and clean like that. And that's what you're going to turn into me.